Welcome to the Do Zone, where real entrepreneurs share real strategies about getting things done. I am your host, Josh Thomas. You can find me on social media at JT Literally. This podcast is brought to you by Factor One. If you're a six-figure entrepreneur who's looking to hit 7 this year, there are 3 key shifts that you need to make right now in order for that to be possible. Go to iamfactor1.com now, and I'll show you exactly what those 3 key shifts are and how you can get them set up for your business in less than 6 minutes. Once again, that's iamfactor1.com. Today's guest is John Edmonds Cosmo. John is the founder of CEO of Bang Productions Incorporated. Bang Productions, a meta media third-party partner and a TikTok live creator network agency, is a multifaceted company providing entertainment through tech via short and long-form content, managing talent, and producing live shows and tours. In addition, John hosts the Unimpressed Podcast, bringing a new interview style, unearthing the characters while creating micro moments of education. John, welcome to the Do Zone. Tell us something you believe is the key to getting stuff done that most people wouldn't think of.
Understand the source of a pure customer and understand how to create a pure source for your business, customer or fan.
Okay. What is a pure source for a customer?
A pure source is you can create a pure source customer with content without selling them anything. So if you create content that is entertaining, relatable, or educational, by law of attraction, you will attract a certain type of person, which would be a demographic, right? And once you bring those demographics in, you want to understand those demographics, and that tells you how you want to communicate with a pure source customer. Because most people in most businesses are off 20 to 30% on who their true customer or fan, if you're a celebrity, is in this world today.
Okay. So we're off by 20 to 30%. So it seems like we're pointing in one direction and our actual customer is somewhere else. And so what have you found are some ways that we can kind of close that gap and fix our aim?
Well, I think you got to look at your environment. You got to understand your environment. You got to assess your environment. Uh, and they call that, non-consciousness. If you understand your non-consciousness and what that is and what you're currently doing and assess that. All right. Now, all right, what's our current narrative? How do we communicate with people currently? Uh, you want to take all those pieces initially after kind of a deep dive, create some content, like I said, that's entertaining, relatable, or educational. And we're going to shoot that out. We're going to push that out to, if you're in, I don't know, construction, in the construction space. And based on that communication, we're going to start to see who's going to respond to your content by law of attraction. And once they start to respond and you start to collect some data and you're bringing them to your social media source, whatever app that would be, when you get a big enough number, start to look at that top 20% of that pure source, of that law of attraction response with your communication, and start catering your content to that 20%. And can, step and repeat, step and repeat, step and repeat. And you continue to do that process and start to perfect the demographics of your customer or fan, if you're a celebrity. Because a lot of times, in business, there's absolutes, and there's people are disconnected with their sensibilities of what the business really is. And absolutes don't work. And I'll tell you why.
Can you give me an example just so that we understand the terminology that you're applying here? What is an absolute in your situation?
An absolute would be a marketing process. So if we've established our demographics, we've built a pure source. We'll say one customer base is 50-50, 50% female, 50% male. Another is 90% female, 10% male. So when you apply a standard marketing process to each of those demographics, the one if they're in a race, the 50-50 will fail against the 90-10 female base. Because when you look at those demographics, I know that a 25 to 34-year-old female is the most reactionary and the biggest buyer online. So when I communicate, I kind of have an understanding of how that customer base will respond and when they will respond. On the 50-50 side, when you add the male demo to that, males wait. They wait to make a decision. So your response time and your action is going to be different. So if you understand those two things when you approach something to either sell your customer a product, that is a big deal on how you communicate. And a lot of people don't understand that. And you know, most big businesses have become appeasing to their own environment, and the reason they're off 20 to 30% on who their true customer is because they're not paying attention to society. They're only appeasing their own industry, and they're only appeasing their own environment, and society is passing them by on what the sensibilities are of their customer base.
Interesting. And so I know that you kind of shared a little bit about how to dig into this, and you're also writing a book called Finding the Right Audience, I believe.
Yeah, finding a perfect audience.
Finding a perfect audience. And so I'm curious. It sounds like this is a rabbit hole that you've jumped down pretty far. Can you dive into some of the more specific elements of how do we find a perfect audience? Because I know I put out a lot of content, and sometimes I wonder if anybody's paying attention at all.
Well, you have to understand the tendencies of the platform, and the tendencies are how the platform responds. If I look at Meta, I think Meta is a observer of the user, right? And if you find success on Meta, once the algorithm recognizes that pattern, they will start to decline that success. So when you see that decline of that success, you have to kind of tweak and move things a little bit, right? TikTok is very mathematical and very transparent because it's a trending algorithm. So if you hit the mathematical parts, the last thing you have to do is the creativity. So understanding the tendencies of the platform, going back to the environment, assessing your environment, assessing how you communicate, how can we improve our communication, and you just have to start. You have to start. You have to understand look at your current demographics, right? And kind of cater to your current demographics. But as you go out there and communicate with that content and start to get the data back, you will see the demographics start to change. And when you get, because if you get a big enough number of anything, you can determine anything. That's why I say once you get a big enough number, start focusing on that very core 20% of the demographics that's responding, because anything outside of that would be exceptional, right? And you continue to communicate that way, because once you understand your sensitivities, because phase one is environment, building the foundation, understanding your sensitivities. That's phase one. Phase two is tone and timing. Your sensitivities establishes your tone. It's just like in life, you hang out with people in your life that have a very similar tone. Same thing. We're communicating. We understand our tone. We're communicating with people who respond to the tone, and we're communicating to the current customer and potential new customer, because we've established the foundation. We understand our sensibilities that we assess from our environment from the beginning. And then phase three is emotions and landscape, or I call it consciousness, because it's kind of a reverse engineered life. Sometimes people put, emotions before anything. But if you've done phase one and phase two right, and then you go to the emotional part, the emotional part is when people respond to the content, right? If you structured your content the right way, if that 1% makes a bad comment, do not have a knee jerk reaction. Look at the response, digest that. Use that emotional response as your micro fixes, right? And then if you continue to do this process through your business, it's a long haul to do this, but as long as you're consistent with this is the way you beat the algorithm. And then once you get to a certain point, it takes your business uh, to consciousness. It's like in life. You get to a certain point in life, you understand the landscape of life and how you function within life, and that's the elevator pitch.
Awesome.
Um, but
I,
it's basically eliminating. It's a process I created by eliminating unconscious bias.
awesome. I love that. And so I'm curious, when does the book come out? When will it be published?
I'm hoping it's out before the end of the year, or if not, it'll be first quarter next year.
Excellent. And just curious, for those that are listening on audio only, John is sitting in front of a big sign that says Unimpressed. Tell us about the Unimpressed podcast.
The Unimpressed Podcast is very similar. I apply this process I created. I can apply this to anything. It's just like I had a doctor on earlier that we were talking about the medical system and how the medical system is so detached, and how it's just the business part of it is very, very money hungry. And he said there's a lot of middlemen, and I call that fractional data. Um, and those middlemen don't know the sensibilities of the nurses, of the doctors, of what's really going on in the hospital. They're just businessmen, and it's really created a major, major issue in the hospitalization system. So I try to bring on intellects. I mean, I had Giles Joe on the podcast, who is a works at Cambridge, neuroscience. He was honored by the Queen. And I just try to unearth these people and to see where they're coming from, what's their lineage, what they're about, and try to teach people things. I try to create micro moments of education that is evergreen now and 20 years from now, by unearthing the people. Because I think if you understand humanity and understand who people are, that's how you learn life.
That's right. Excellent. And so where can we go to learn more about what you do and how to connect with you?
My biggest thing right now is my Instagram. It's JOHNE Cosma, KOZMA. Go there. I have a link in bio there with all the attachments. Also, our company website is bangproductionstv.com, or Google John Edmonds Cosma, and there'll be a ton of things pop up.
Excellent. Love that. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing. And so for those of you who are interested in learning about how to find a perfect audience, be on the lookout for John Cosmo's book that should be coming out towards the end of 2023, early 2024. And for those of you who are looking for help with your social media presence, you can go to bangproductionstv.com. Is that right, John?
That's correct.
bangproductionstv.com, and you can find John Cosma, John E. Cosma, on Instagram. So, hey, we're going to wrap up from here. Thanks again to John Cosma for coming on and sharing a little bit of wisdom about how he gets things done. If you listen to us on your commute or during your workout somewhere out in the field, be sure to snap a selfie, tag me at JT Literally, and tell me what you do in the do zone. Also, if you're ready to break the 7-figure barrier with your business, but you know what got you here ain't going to get you there, we can help. Go to imfactor1.com now and let's see how much impact we can make in less than 6 minutes. Know this, you are Factor One for your own success. Now let's get to work.